New Balance just released the SC Elite V4. It's a very good looking shoe. I really like it, but is it competitive enough? Is it one of the best racing shoes out there? Let's find out. Hey everyone and welcome back on the channel. My name is Alex. In today's video we are looking at the New Balance SC Elite V4. I was very lucky to race in this shoe in New York. You can go check the New York series on the channel if you're willing to see how that marathon went. I raced in this shoe, the white one. It was a prototype version that New Balance sent me a few weeks before New York. It was back then embargoed. Since then I received also a colored version, which I haven't used yet. It's just here because I find it beautiful and yeah, why not? But the two are very similar, and this was a prototype version, but definitely all of the specs are the same. So I'm very comfortable reviewing it, especially since I also used it quite a bit since New York. This shoe has more than 130 kilometers on it, meaning that, yeah, I definitely trained in it before New York a little bit. And most importantly, I used it also for that marathon and afterwards for some key sessions. Let's dive in. Let's look at the good, the bad, and why I believe this shoe will work super well for some of you. Looking at the specs, in my size US 11, this shoe is 268 grams, which makes it a heavy shoe for a race day shoe. Most of the best shoes out there are around 210 to 20 to 30 grams in my size US 11. The Alpha Fly, which is also similar to this in terms of specs, is 242 in my size US 11. So here 268 is on the heavier side of things. And that's a drawback, not just because of the number, but because how that weight translates in the performance of the shoe. Let's look at the upper of this shoe. This is called the Phantom Fit upper. It's a new upper that New Balance came up with, especially for this shoe. It feels very, very plasticky without being unpleasant, if that makes sense. You have something quite pliable here in the forefoot with a small toe bumper in the inside to create some volume. You have a very soft and pleasant material in the heel. You have a very thin tongue, feather-like tongue that is not gusseted at all. And we may come back to that here in a second. The laces are very thin, and I do believe that they could be improved by using different laces. How does it fit? How does the upper work? My first impression in this shoe were not good. I thought it was running quite long. I thought it was a bit too roomy for me, and I had to race in it. At least that was the plan. So I just swept insoles and I did a runner's knot. And somehow, I don't know if the upper shrunk with time or what happened, but now it actually fits much better. So yeah, maybe my fit gained volume. I don't really know what happened. I believe the first time I put it on, it was quite cold and my feet were not necessarily at their normal volume. And now, you know, when I try them on, when I run in them, I think they fit just fine lengthwise and also widthwise. It's still a bit moving here in the heel area. I have a touch of heel movement, but not too much. And I still have my runner's knots and I'm using it because it also helps a bit with that midfoot wrap. I do believe that a gusseted tongue would help to have a bit of a better lockdown here in the midfoot. So that's why I said that we would come back to the gusset in the tongue. That's a small improvement that I believe could bring a lot of value to this shoe. Upper material, very good. The fit, quite good. Tongue and midfoot lockdown, so-so. And that's probably where I would see some possible improvements. The insole sock liner is removable. It's glued in very slightly here in the heel. So yeah, it's hardly glued in, and you can definitely remove it quite easily. It's flimsy. That's another area of improvement, but not just for this shoe. For many shoes on the market, insoles could be a huge thing and a huge improvement to many shoes. Looking at the midsole, you have that fuel cell midsole, and yes, fuel cell covers many different things. This is a full PEBA midsole, meaning that you have only PEBA in this midsole. It feels like it. It's super squishy, super bouncy, super responsive. It's on the dense side of things. Not saying that it's firm by any means, but it's definitely a denser feel. You have some very pleasant cushion underfoot. You can feel that slab of foam under your feet, and it's a good thing. It's a very good thing. How does it work? How does it perform? You have something very gentle, not for beginners or for you know, any sort of level, but just something that is very gentle on your legs, very easy to work with, very easy to discover. I didn't have to do too much before the New York City Marathon in this shoe to kind of understand it, and I think that's a very good thing, meaning that if you're buying this shoe and if you don't want to put too much miles on it before racing, you will definitely have an old friend on race day despite not running in it too much beforehand. It's very squishy, very cushioned, not super aggressive, so you definitely don't have that Vaporfly Adios Pro aggressiveness in this shoe. Why? I believe that first, the weight is playing a role here, and you know that you're carrying a bit more weight on your feet. The second thing is that this shoe has a 40mm stack height, 4mm drop, and because the midsole compresses quite a lot, if you're a heel to midfoot striker, you're actually dynamically creating a lower drop than that 4mm, meaning that you have a bit less of that feeling of being pushed on your toes, and each step doesn't necessarily translate into accelerating and pushing you to the next one. What I'm trying to say is that this shoe feels very good at all sorts of paces, and not only at fast paces, and that's another sign of it lacking aggressiveness or being very gentle depending on how you look at it. It's not asking you to move faster, to push more, which again is a good thing or a bad thing. I do believe that this is a very good thing, especially if you're in that 3 hours, 3:15, 3:30 range for the marathon distance, because it's just super leg saving without taking too much out of you, out of your body, and out of the energy you have on race day. What's the drawback? Well, if you're a 2:30 marathon runner, there are faster options for you out there on the market for sure. Probably around that 2:45, 3 hours, the ballpark in which I am, it's okay. Again, I raced New York in it, and I did a first half marathon at a good pace. I think we ran 1:29 for the first half, 1:30 somewhere there. So, you know, around that 3 hours marathon equivalent. And then the second half, we just decided to give ourselves peace with the pace and just cruise along at around 5 minutes per kilometer, 5:30 even, and it worked super well as well. I did some joggings in this shoe, which wasn't really planned, but we just had the opportunity to jog around Boston in this shoe a week ago when I was there for the New Balance Grand Prix. And it's also very pleasant to jog in. There's definitely much more adapted options out there if you want to have a jogging shoe. But what I'm trying to say again is that it's so gentle that you can do a variety of paces in it, and it still feels super nice. Looking at the outsole, you actually have a very thick layer of outsole. I do believe that some of the weight, the extra weight that this shoe carries, comes from that thicker outsole. The coverage is also a bit excessive in my opinion, especially here, you know, that green part is going quite down, and you definitely won't touch it here. So yeah, I think you could remove a bit of outsole coverage in some places and reduce the thickness. That would remove some of the weight, because the rubber that's used for outsole is heavy, and that, you know, just brings extra weight. Let's look at the energy arc. So this is the combination of that huge midsole void and a carbon plate that has a very special geometry. Basically what it does is that you are compressing here the midsole, and because you have that void, the midsole can compress more than if you didn't have that void. And so it acts together with the plate, the foam compresses more, it uses that volume here to compress, and it triggers the action of the carbon plate, thus propelling you forward and acting as a lever. It's working super well. I'm convinced that this is a good system. The only issue is that there's a very ugly squeak noise coming from this area when you're running. Actually not in this shoe, because again I haven't run in it, but in this one, and I heard it also coming from the production shoe with some other people. So you have it. You have that noise. It's very unpleasant. It's a squeaky sound. I cannot imitate it, and it's coming from here. I don't know if it's the energy arc system, if it's the midsole itself, if it's the outsole, but there's something going on here and it's unpleasant. It needs to be fixed, because that's what I and other people will remember from this shoe, and it doesn't deserve to be remembered for that ugly noise. So I hope New Balance can fix it, maybe in an alteration of that shoe, of that version still. A small tweak may help, I believe. Let's summarize. We're looking at a not super competitive, but definitely tier 1 super shoe. Why is it a tier 1 shoe if it's not that competitive? Just because it will please many runners in that 3 hours to 3:30 marathon range. It's gentle, it's accommodating, it still has the benefits of super shoes, meaning it's soft, bouncy, leg saving, and it helps you preserve your legs for the later stages of the marathon. €280, $250. The euro price is too much, New Balance. Please don't do that anymore. Have the same USD and euro retail price. That would help us a lot. And €250 would have been a better price. 280 is too expensive by at least €30. Make it €250, please, and that will definitely be in the right ballpark in terms of prices. Thanks a lot for watching. Enjoy your run today, enjoy your ride, and let's link to the New York Marathon vlog. I think it was very fun, so let's have it here. Make sure you subscribe for more videos. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you in the next one.